Oh, I'm coming. Give me a second. Sorry, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Forgot to get my microphone. I'm talking through a webcam right now, but this is a big time production over here. Here's the microphone. And then we got to get the cord for the microphone. Again, guys, big time production. How's everyone doing? Listen, if you're watching live, and there's some people listening back to this as a podcast. There is people watching this show back as a replay. You guys are great. If you're watching live right now, you're choosing this over the NBA Finals, you're a sicko. All right, give me a second. Am I going to have to hold this thing? All right, there we go. Do I sound better? I mean, you could be watching Game 2 of the NBA Finals right now. We have 93 people watching live. It is June 8th. It is a Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And this is what you guys are up to? You're watching me? And we're not even about to be talking about the 2026 class. It's 2027 and 2028. I don't know if I just made some people want to leave and not even watch this program now because of that intro. But, like, you guys are the diehards. It is the folks who follow recruiting in June. And we're not even, look, we're going to talk plenty about the 2026 class and different programs at Blue and Gold this week. But this is not one of them. So shout out, tip of the hat to you guys. Or is it tip of the cap? Christopher says watching both. Yeah, watching both. It's true. But still. Now, see, it's definitely not judging. This is straight love. It is love, like appreciation. Because, I like to think I'm a diehard fan in some of my favorite sports teams, but I don't watch many live streams. Like, I don't watch many videos. But you guys are legit. I love it. Jay Carr said a minute ago, I was pretty thrown off watching the tripod video seeing Mike and Tyler in the same location. Yeah. How about that? How about this, huh? Yeah, you guys like, little singer Horka in front of Touchdown Jesus, talking about Notre Dame's Irish Invasion Camp, which is the subject of today's show. We will not have Kyle Kelly with us, at least for another 26 minutes. He's going to be joining us around 8:30 or so. So you're stuck with me for a little bit. No call-in today, at least not. Yeah, not for unless I get through all this in 10 minutes. I got 20 minutes to kill. But that is probably still not going to be the case. Sorry about the rough start to the show, but hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. And blueandgold.com is the place to be for all things Notre Dame Fighting Irish football and recruiting coverage. Just a taste of some of the content from Irish Invasion. Had a little scoop on a 2026 offensive tackle to watch. Going to be camping at Notre Dame tomorrow. You can find more about that at Blue and Gold. I wrote a final thoughts and takeaways article, Malachi Ziegler interview, which I thought was really good. Some quarterback intel, top performers. We're going to be talking about all of these things, but you could have read about them, a couple days ago for some of these articles. So blueandgold.com is definitely the place to be. What do I want to start with today? Let's start. I'm going to go through my Twitter here. Okay. So we're going to look at, I'm actually going to throw the headphones on now so I can hear here as well. So I'm just going to go through some of, like, as I was labeling all the video that I took from this camp, I just tweeted some of my favorite things out. Okay. And this I tweeted during. Yeah, Jeremiah Love. You can't even see his face there, so I don't know 100% if it's him. You guys wouldn't. I know it's him. That's Jeremiah Love. He made an appearance. There were several other Notre Dame players there. You had like Emil Wagner, the freshman offensive lineman Matty Augustino and Streebig, Cam Herron were hanging out. Adon Schuler was there. I saw incoming freshman Dallas Golden on the defensive back. Yeah, there was a lot of all the Notre Dame quarterbacks were there. So I thought it was pretty cool that you had, like, you could actually see here. I think this guy on the far right's Matty Augustine. This might be like Peter Jones. I think this one was Owen Streebig. So they're working with the O-line, and then the quarterbacks, CJ Carr, Kenny Minchie, Anthony Rizak, Blake Hebert, they were all like working, like they were running drills with some of the quarterbacks. Like I thought that was pretty neat. I hope I'm not doxing anything with my Twitter here. I think we're good. Okay. Let's just see what we've got. Okay. Rob Larson was one of the standout performers from this camp. A 3-star by 24/7 and Rivals, has Sacramento State, UNLV, Arizona State, Colorado State. That's his offers. And he was one of the top performers on the day. He was outstanding. Just really was cooking all day. Nice off the line. I love this little step here. I don't know what he's selling exactly. He's already got by his man. So, but I still like the little move. And then the play on the ball, and then he kind of holds it, kind of showing off. Oh, this kid was really, really good. So I don't know if Notre Dame's going to offer Rob Larson, but he definitely had himself a day out at Notre Dame. So Rob Larson, class of 2027 wide receiver, thought he had a really nice performance. We'll continue on. This was Quentin Burrell, a 2027 wide receiver from Chicago Mount Carmel. Actually, let me step back a second. Let me step back a second. Some of you might be like, Mike, what the hell are we even talking about? Okay, so in the summer, it's really just the month of June, colleges are allowed to have prospect camps. So you invite tons of high school recruits that you like to. It's basically just like a practice, like the quarterbacks. Like you can hear Gino talking to the recruits. They're saying like, this is what we do with our quarterbacks. And if you ever watch practice clips of the Notre Dame quarterbacks, it's the same drills. It's the same thing. So I think it's cool. So you have all of the Notre Dame position coaches working with the recruits. And it's a really good evaluation tool. You had Notre Dame offensive line commit Sullivan Garvin and Ben Nichols out there just training, just wanting to get some extra work in with Coach Joe Rudolph, which was, I thought, pretty cool. Did they need to do that? No, not in the slightest. They were the only commits out there, but they wanted to get some work in and compete, which I did think was awesome. So the camp started around, there was like testing at like 10 a.m. The competitive period started around 11. They started doing some drills, and then you get into routes on air with the quarterbacks and receivers and tight ends and even some running backs. And then one-on-ones where the quarterbacks are throwing to a receiver, tight end, or running back with the defensive back or linebacker guarding. And then the O-line, D-line one-on-ones happening. I want to say they were in the indoor. Kyle Kelly was watching those. So can't be everywhere at once. So I was really locked into the far field away from the IAC, watching the wide receivers and DBs, and there's some tight ends, of course, and watching those guys. Kyle was inside. So when Kyle joins us in about 20 minutes, we'll talk about what he saw. But yeah, so I just wanted to kind of step back real quick. So that's Irish Invasion. This happens one of the first Sundays of June every year, and it is an awesome camp. It's always great. I think this is my fourth year in a row attending the camp after COVID shut it down for a couple years. So this was probably the best quarterback group we've seen. And there was a year where CJ Carr and Ryan Puglisi, who ended up signing with Georgia, were there. That was a really good year. there's a kid who signed with Tennessee that year. I can think of his face, but not his name. Um, but yeah, it was a good one as well. But this was the just the deepest group. Like, it was a super talented quarterback group. We'll talk about it more here in a bit. But yeah, Quentin Burrell was to my knowledge, the only receiver at Irish Invasion who had an offer from the Irish. And I don't think they added or offered any wide receivers from this group. And I thought he had a pretty solid day. Burrell's not the fastest guy, but as a route runner, dude, this guy is awesome. There was a comment here saying bro was open twice on one route, which he absolutely was. Like, just burns off the line. I mean, you would love to just turn this into a 9 route, just a go route, but he still stops on the dime and then gets open again. Uh, you hear that little oof? That was me. I was like, it was a pretty clean route. He had several other highlight catches as well, and I think we'll watch them in a little bit. I have a few other Quentin Burrell plays that we will get to. So yeah, really like Quentin Burrell, a key wide receiver target for the Irish in the 2027 class. This was Zakai Murphy. Thought this was a nice little rep from Don Bosco Prep in Ramsey, New Jersey, one of the top high schools in the Garden State, and they brought out several players. And Murphy, just a little ankle breaker, off the line. Just made a business decision. I'm not uploading this as a podcast. This is not going to be a good podcast with me just breaking down video. So if you usually watch this as a podcast, I apologize. It's just not going up as one. Continue on. Oh, all right. Really excited to hear from Kyle Kelly talking about the O-line, D-line, because this D-line was a problem. Here is the godson of Notre Dame legend, Chris Zorich. This is Braden Parks, who is a 4-star class of 2027 defensive lineman from Chicago Brother Rice. And he is going up against a 4-star interior offensive lineman, Sullivan Garvin, Notre Dame commit, a year older than him, at least in terms of grade. Braden Parks. Yes, Jeremy, it was Jake Merklinger. Thank you, brother. Sorry, I'm doing a solo show for now, so I'm not reading chat a ton, but I just looked. Jeremy said, yep, Jake Merklinger. Thank you. I mean, Braden Parks, I mean, you guys see this fellow right here? That is Notre Dame defensive line assistant Nick Sebastian, just hyped about what he just saw. I think Nick and Al Washington, I'm kind of saying this as a joke, but in an NIL era, maybe it's not, a blank check. I mean, this kid, Braden Parks, an absolute freak show. I apologize if the video is a little choppy as you guys are watching this. Modern technology isn't perfect yet, but yeah, this was Braden Parks just made that look easy. It really was, and he wasn't even. It was an amazing defensive line group, but like he may not even had the best performance. Dante Vaughn from Oradell Bergen Catholic in New Jersey was a baller. This number 22 on the left-hand side here, I believe, is Devin Robinson from Mississippi, who was had a dominant day. But yeah, Braden Parks, absolute baller here. Why the different helmets? Great question. Notre Dame did not supply the kids with helmets. The kids brought their own helmets. We had a comment on a YouTube video where the guy was like, why is someone wearing a winged helmet? Why does it look like a Michigan player? And I responded as a smartass and said, he's a Michigan player. I mean, come on, guys. It's just high school helmets sometimes have wings on them. Sorry. So that's why. It's their high school helmets. All right, so this is Neiman Lawrence throwing a ball to Bryson Thompson from Johnson High School in San Antonio, Texas. Neiman Lawrence had an awesome day. This is a 6'1", 195-pound class of 2028, so he's just going into his sophomore season. If you're just joining us live here, we're talking about Irish Invasion. I was at Notre Dame's marquee summer camp of the year. I was there on Friday. We wanted to do this show last night. I had flight delay problems. Sucked. like 3 extra hours. Just so frustrating, but it's all right. We're here. So we're talking about this camp and some of the highlights and takeaways. Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video, subscribe to the channel for more content, and we will be live with Kyle Kelly, who was also there with me. He'll talk about what he saw as well. But yeah, I thought Neiman Lawrence, and I'll dive into the quarterbacks more in a little bit. He was phenomenal. 6'1", 195 pounds from Miami Northwestern. Not like a traditional school for Notre Dame to go in and get a recruit. But I mean, I can't remember Notre Dame really ever being in the mix for a kid from Miami Northwestern since I've been on the beat in 6 years. I'm sure there's guys in the past, but not in my 6 years. This dude, this was awesome. And I know what you're thinking. Mike, we don't have a chance. Yeah, you might be right. But I do expect Notre Dame to end up offering this kid. I don't know when. It could be pot of gold next year. It could be this fall. Could be tomorrow for all I know. I don't know. But this kid, when I talked to him on the phone afterwards, very impressive. A rising sophomore. How we talked. You'll be able to find this article, Blue and Gold, on Monday. The values that he talked about, what he liked about Notre Dame. Pretty impressive kid. Neiman Lawrence. Even if he doesn't end up at Notre Dame, just like a really special individual that I'm really looking forward to following his high school career. So this was a ball from him. Bryson Thompson lined up in the slot. I mean, a very nice route by Bryson Thompson. Tries to go outside, really gets denied, wants to go back inside. And actually a pretty nice baseball turn. I believe that's what the DBs call it, baseball turn by this number 1's defensive back. And the coverage is not terrible. It's not terrible. It needs to be a perfect ball for this to be a touchdown. And can you guys hear the OK offense in the background? I don't know if you can. Can you guys hear that audio? Matt Lee. Matt, you don't have to watch the show. Just get the heck out. It's fine. Quinn, yes, they're coming on their own dimes. Yeah, I'm just reading the chats real quick. Ryan said, any thoughts on Towns likes Notre Dame. Yeah, I thought he looked good. He was one of the top quarterback performers at the camp. No audio. Okay, sorry. Mike Martin, new general manager, was emceeing the event, and it was pretty awesome. I thought it was really neat. I wrote about this at Blue and Gold. It was neat to see Mike Martin. I'd never met Mike Martin in person before, or see him in person, and it was cool to see what kind of dude is he? Is he more reserved? Is he got a big personality? He emceed this event. He had a microphone and was talking about different things happening, or he said, oh, this was, he made a comment about this throw. So yeah, it was a heck of a dime. Nice catch by Bryson Thompson. Continuing on, got a couple more. So this was Seneca Driver, who his uncle played at Notre Dame. Nation's number 82 overall player, number 5 tight end in the country, according to the 2027 3 on 3 inch ranking. 6'7", 225 pounds. This dude was a nightmare for these linebackers to cover. I mean, the play on the ball, outstanding. Yeah, Seneca Driver. I'll have a little bit more of from Seneca Driver. Kyle, I'll bring you in a second, brother. One more clip, and then Kyle Kelly's here. Actually, that's the only other one. But here's actually what I was talking about from Mike Martin. There's no sound here, but Mike Martin getting around on the microphone, emceeing the event. I thought it was pretty cool. So I will I have a little bit more footage to go through myself, but we're going to bring in Kyle Kelly in just a moment. He's going to give some thoughts from the camp. But before we do that, do you guys like my shirt? You guys like this Notre Dame stadium polo? It's clean. It's clean. It's one of my favorite things to wear. and you can look as good as Mike Singer. Well, maybe nearly as good as Mike Singer if you get your own Rhoback polo. This is the Father's Day best-selling polos collection. Little golf ball polo. You got the 1776, a golden retriever polo. I mean, come on, guys. The mulligan, the fairway green. I looked at several of these to get my father-in-law, but he ended up going with the Don't Mess, this Texas polo. That's the one that he went with that I got him for his birthday not too long ago. Rhoback.com. Make sure you use the promo code BlueGold20. Pick up that new Notre Dame Dancing Clover polo. I'm rocking the Notre Dame Stadium polo, which sold out. You guys are too late, but it'll come back. I'm sure the Notre Dame Stadium polo will come back, but the Notre Dame Dancing Clover looks awesome. Got the Notre Dame Fighting Irish with the Shamrock in the Fighting Irish logo, and then the Shamrock in the Notre Dame helmet. I know Kyle loves his Rhoback as well. Kyle, what's going on, my friend?
Nothing much. I am super pumped to talk about Irish Invasion. I listened to the first 20, 25 minutes of the show, and good job.
Did you like that opening?
Now that wouldn't say that was my favorite opening, but I respect you for doing it.
Dude, I was like, I either had to just use a webcam, so I have like a backup camera. This picks up audio somehow, so I either was gonna use that audio or just wing it. And I just made a business decision. But I appreciate you for tuning in, man. What'd you think about it so far?
Yeah, I'm glad that you went through the clips on Twitter there and hit on what was happening outside, because this year we did it the way we're supposed to, where we divided it up, where one of us was outside watching the skill, so the wide receivers versus quarterbacks, and obviously, the corners versus wide receivers, and obviously the quarterbacks were out there. And then O-line and D-line were doing one-on-ones indoors inside at the IAC. So I got to imagine not a lot of our viewers have had the opportunity to go into the Irish Athletic Center, but basically the way everything is structured there is when you first walk in, you have your indoor facility, that's the IAC, and then you have two outside practice fields. And on the furthest practice field, so your third one, that's where the wide receivers, corners, and quarterbacks were working. The middle one, there was running backs and linebackers. And then inside, that's where the O and D line was. And in past years, what we would do, Mike and I would both watch the wide receivers and corners going at it, and those one-on-ones. We would never have anyone indoors. I feel like it wasn't on purpose. It just like it always ended up that way. That's kind of I don't know, wanted to watch the action.
I want to say it might have been like Tyler was supposed to go watch O-line D-line or something. He just didn't. Tyler was there too, of course.
He was.
I don't know. But yeah, this was definitely a good year for it because it was a great O-line D-line group.
That was the point I was going to make, because
pull up the Braden Parks video.
Yeah.
I've got your clips if there's anything that you want me to bring up in particular.
Yeah, if you there's just a couple 15-second to 30-second ones, not anything highlight worthy. But if you want to put one up on Braden Parks, I think I might have labeled it as Parks versus Garvin or Parks versus Nichols. So Braden Parks, the 4-star defensive lineman out of Chicago, Brother Rice, Notre Dame offered him on Pot of Gold Day, 2027 class recruit. You'll see him here working against Notre Dame offensive line commit Sullivan Garvin. And sometimes I have trouble deciding who wins these one-on-ones, but I think that was a pretty clear victory there by Parks. And if you just want to replay that clip, just watch the handwork here by Parks. Big time Notre Dame target. I know you mentioned earlier in the show Chris Sorch's godson, cousin.
If I keep saying grandson, I apologize. Godson, and then Tony Jones.
Yeah, Tony Jones Jr. cousin. So I named Parks one of my 5 top performers, and I think that was pretty obvious. That clip was just a microcosm of his day. I think the D-line group was probably the strongest group there. Now, you were focusing on offense. I was focusing on defense, so I don't really know a ton about what was going on offense. I was also really focusing on the D line because that was the headline group, but I
Yep.
think that was the most talented one there. And if I could just touch on this guy real quick, because I have not been covering recruiting nearly as long as you. I think this is my fourth or fifth year. Also going on the camp circuit as well. And I'm also not located in the South, so I don't really see where most of the top high school football recruits are located. But I've been to my fair share of camps.
Yep, you have.
2028. So rising high school sophomore, just finished up his freshman year. Edge rusher, Jackson Vaughn out of Bergen Catholic in Oradell, New Jersey, put on one of the best camp performances I've seen in my handful of
I
years.
think I've been
covering
calling him
recruiting.
Deuce Vaughn.
Well,
I
Jackson, I mean,
Deuce Vaughn is a running back that I covered 10 years ago.
I do that stuff all the time.
He plays for the Cowboys now. Okay, yeah, Jackson Vaughn. Let me pull some stuff up, Kyle, of him.
Absolute stud. To no surprise, has most of the top programs across the country already after him, and he wanted to make it up to Notre Dame because he wanted to kind of explore campus, investigate it. The academics were, the education, Notre Dame's culture, all those things really important to Jackson Vaughn. And, not my best video work. Obviously he was rushing off the left side and I was on the right side. But this guy, for just a high school rising sophomore, is special.
And that's against a Power 4 offensive lineman.
Yes. Power 4 recruit, for sure.
Right, yeah. So I meant, yeah.
You can't really see it great, but if you just watch the way he drops that hip and bends inside, really special. You don't see a lot of. I mean, that is an elite trait. And I was just messing around with some of our colleagues who were there, and I was just like, man, this is Myles Garrett-esque, like the way he comes off the edge. And it was funny because I was talking to him afterward, Jackson Vaughn, that is, interviewing him off campus, and Jackson told me he watches a lot of Myles Garrett, and he's done some pass rushing work with, I forget, former NFL defensive lineman, I think Brandon Graham, but don't quote me on that. So he's got a lot of experience, but you're looking at a recruit here that's going to be one of the top prospects in the entire country. Elite prospect, complete Notre Dame kid. So that was a no-brainer offer. He was my MVP at the Irish Invasion, and that's a potentially special player who could end up on the Notre Dame roster. And probably, it's a long ways away, but 3 or 4 years.
Bergen Catholic produces absolute studs. There's a quarterback out of there a few years ago that I think was really good. What about I don't know anything about the linebackers from that group, to be honest with you. There's a few that Notre Dame had offered. Any thoughts on those guys?
So Garion Hobbs out of Louisville, Kentucky, he came and competed. He's a little bit on the smaller end for a linebacker, hovering around 5'10", 5'11". Great athlete. He made a lot of plays on Friday. I could tell that Max Bola had a close eye on him, and Max Bola was coaching him up hard. And I might have put this in the on the loose emoji message board during the camp that some of these assistant coaches were really coaching up these guys super hard. I mean, they knew their names. You could tell they were very familiar with them. And that's just a testament to this Notre Dame coaching staff and the pride they take in recruiting. Like, I've been to my fair share of Notre Dame practices, and I know you talked about this earlier in the show. I mean, it pretty much replicated a Notre Dame practice all the way down to the communication level with the assistant coaches and the recruits. I mean, they were calling these guys by their first name, and you have your last name on the helmet, but obviously these coaches have great relationships with the recruits. We saw that on the defensive line, especially with Al Washington. He very familiar with his group. But just going back to the linebackers, Hobbs, I mentioned him in my top performers story because I thought he had a really good day. And then probably one of the most intriguing offers we've seen at Irish Invasion in a few years, maybe since Notre Dame offered Daniel Anderson, the former running back commit, who ended up signing with Northwestern. Notre Dame was pretty much his first FBS offer, if I remember. Well, Notre Dame sent out an offer to a 2028 recruit from Anaheim Servite. Uh, his name is Alan Kennett. He actually goes by Cinco. But interesting story with him. Not only was Notre Dame his first offer, which obviously has kind of touched on that, it's pretty rare that Notre Dame is a school's or a recruit's first offer. He's making the switch from quarterback to linebacker. So Max Bola saw him work out in the spring, invited him up to Irish Invasion, and he obviously impressed because Notre Dame has sparked his offer sheet, and they will not be the last school. I talked to Kennett on Saturday morning, and you could tell. I mean, the kid was just so excited. Just there was a lot of excitement in his voice. But of the 6 new offers that went out, 5 were in the 28 class. The group was really loaded in 2027, but a lot of talented 2028 recruits there as well.
Kyle, I know you've seen me both write about this and talk about this, that if you would have talked to Notre Dame sources, which I did like 6 weeks ago about this camp, they're nervous. They were nervous that it wasn't going to be a great camp. Like, kids just don't want to camp anymore. That was kind of the sentiment. And then this was a loaded, deep camp. Now, there was I would say in years past, you would have a lot more rising seniors come out to compete for their offer. I know there was a prospect, I'm not going to name his position or name. You guys might be able to figure it out. There was a prospect that Notre Dame wanted to have come camp. Kyle, I'll tell you who it is after the video. In the 26th class, come to this event. Want to see how you kind of stack up with other guys at your position and how you compete. Kid wanted a Notre Dame offer. He didn't want to do it. Just didn't want to do it. It's just don't. So rising seniors maybe aren't right. There was a few 2026 kids, maybe like more of the preferred walk-on variety. But for 27 and 28, these kids wanted to get a Notre Dame offer. Like, they want to compete. There are several who already had a Notre Dame offer, and they still wanted to come compete. I love that. Kyle.
I think it's important to note that 2026 is rising seniors camping or lack thereof. That's not just a Notre Dame problem. That's, every school across the country, a lot of rising seniors aren't willing, don't want to camp. And I see both sides of it because, unfortunately, I actually saw a young man there in the IAC. He got cuttered off with an injury, and I just gave out like an audible, just like groan inside because I felt so bad. I was just like, these kids work so hard, especially if you're going to the Notre Dame Irish Invasion camp, like, you're no slouch as a high school recruit. Like, you might not have any offers, but you're probably going to be one of the best players on your team, one of the best players in your conference. And, all these guys are primed for big junior and sophomore and, some senior years, but saw the guy get carted off. That was a bummer. So I see both sides of it, but, on the other flip side, hat tip to a lot of the guys that show up in camp, like Quentin Burrell, he didn't need to camp at Notre Dame. He camped at Notre Dame last year. He's a top 50 top 50 player on every site. And, these recruits are, they're working 5 days a week with their high school teams. They got workouts. They're doing on-field work. I don't know how they do it. So, a lot of respect for everyone that did go out there.
Yeah.
And Mike, I know you touched on this earlier in the show about the talent level at this Irish Invasion. Are you ready to say this was the most talented one you've been to? I know it rivals
Deepest.
the CJ Carr camp. Yeah.
The CJ Carr one was just so memorable because, like, all eyes were on CJ. Hot take, was not the best quarterback there in terms of like the performance that day. Ryan Puglisi, who is just like he was just like a 3-star kid from Connecticut with regional offers, ended up like a 5-star, close to 5-star, at least per one service. And then, I just said service, media outlet. It's a
It's
trigger
all
thing
the
for me.
same.
Different discussion for a different day.
All right.
He was awesome. But everyone's just because CJ had, I think he gave like a silent the day before, the day of the camp or something, and all eyes were on him, and they committed a few days later. But Puglisi was awesome. But yeah, that was like a top heavy group. Caleb Beasley was awesome, which, by the way, want to touch on Phoenix Evans, the 2028 from Don Bosco Prep in Ramsey, New Jersey. Like Caleb Beasley, who was a huge Notre Dame target in the 24 class, ended up at Tennessee. I don't know how he's doing so far, but I expect big things out of Beasley there. He was like one of my favorite corners I've ever watched. There's just something about his like smoothness and how he gets in and out of his breaks, his quickness. Phoenix Evans had some of that, man. Like just the swagger, how his moves. Phoenix Evans, 2028 cornerback. Notre Dame offered him from the camp, and he's going to be a huge target moving forward. So yeah, I would definitely say it's probably the deepest. So just loaded with sophomores. You made the point about the injury thing. Yeah, I hear you. But if you're a rising senior and you're desperate for a Notre Dame offer, got to do what you got to do. One more thing, going back to the conversation we were having about the linebackers and how much the staff was really coaching them up. Marcus Freeman could have just showed up and signed some autographs and kissed some babies and then left. Maybe gave a quick speech.
Who took this?
Orca.
Okay, because I had my eyes on Freeman too. And not to steal your thunder, but this dude was locked in.
Yeah, locked in.
I mean, we're talking about the head coach that just played the national championship game. And the linebacker unit was, I don't want to say it was one of the weakest, but I mean, it wasn't as strong as some of the other groups. I mean, you got to respect that, man.
And he's not doing this for the cameras. He's really not. He's not. He's locked in. He's just locked in. I love it. Like his linebacker coach coordinator days came out of them there. I love it. All right. Kyle, I've got to go ahead.
Yeah, how much time do we have?
Why? What do you want to do?
No, I was curious just because
I'm not signing us off if that's what you're thinking.
No, I just wanted to ask you about some of the offensive performers. I didn't really get to.
Yeah.
I mean, who looked good at wide receiver? I know you talked about the Folsom wide receiver earlier in the show.
Yeah, Burrell was great.
I know you commented on.
So
wait, real quick.
Yeah.
What about the tight ends? Who stood out from that group? That's what I'm really.
Yeah.
Wait for us to bury the lead here because
yes, the tight end group was baller. I mean, it was all right.
I think they had 4 top 100 recruits.
Yeah, it would have been 5 or it would have been like 5th, but I don't know, maybe what they're all ranked. But let me just pull this up.
Jackson Dowler, Jack Brown, Seneca Driver.
Hold on. I got you. Give me a second.
Guess who added all the visits to the profile so you can even show them all together?
All right, so this is just the 2027 industry top football tight end recruits. You had number 5 was there, number 6 was there, number 7 was there, and then 13 was there, but ran a 40 and then wasn't feeling too hot in his foot. I believe he had like a lingering injury, so he didn't run. Who's the other one? Titus Hawk and yes. Number 16.
Yep.
So the quick rundown, Hawk is listed at 6'7", 210. He looked he's 6'7". He looked like he's got some like smoothness to kind of develop as a route runner and everything, but the kid's a freak.
He's a sophomore, man. I mean, yeah.
Jack Brown worked
out
this.
Real quick, Titus Hawk, he's not even really like a full-time football player. Like he's a hooper. He's a big-time baseball player. Yep. So it's like he's a 6'7"
Oklahoma
baseball. Yeah,
he's just an athlete. Yeah. Very raw. That's the word I was looking for. Very raw, but very talented. Jack Brown was good. Jack Brown had a really good day. Does he end up at DN though? I was interested. He didn't end up working at DN at all. He just worked out a tight end all day.
No, and at Washington, Nick Sebastian wanted him to.
Yeah.
He told the reporters that afterward, but it's hard to camp at two positions, especially on O&D. You only have a limited amount of time. So, we've seen in years past, they move linebackers at the end. That's a little bit more manageable, but
Yeah. So that one will be interesting. And then Seneca Driver and Jackson Dollar were awesome. I did not get to do this a full video break, like all of my clips on Jackson Dollar. I've not been able to do that, so I don't have that for today's show. But he's great. 6'5", 208 pounds from Denver, North Carolina, number 99 overall player in the class. Really nice day. But I do want to kind of lean in on Seneca Driver, and then we'll go through the rest of the offense.
He passed the eye test.
Dude, Seneca Driver, so freaking good. I got little clips of him here. Let me remove this, pop this. Also, just kind of growing into his body and still pretty let me restart this video. A little choppy, but still pretty raw. Let me pause it. It's a little, it looks a little bit better. All right. Kyle, I got to take this. Can I give you the floor for a little bit and you can talk about something else?
Yeah, sure.
All right. I got to take this phone.
No, you're fine. Well, Mike started off the show, so I appreciate him spending some time solo. So I guess I'll take the reins here solo a little bit as well. But when Mike was playing that Seneca Driver video, actually reminded me of something, that there was a Notre Dame player in the background there. And I know Mike actually touched on this earlier in the show with Jeremiah Love, Matty Augustine, Owen Strebig, those guys. A lot of current Notre Dame players there coming out to help out on the camp. And I know Tyler Horka did some really great coverage for us after the camp, kind of a sights and sounds piece, and really ran through all the Notre Dame players were there coaching these guys up. Defensive line had really good showing. Jason Onye was there. That was great to see. Logan Thomas was on hand. Gabriel Rubio was there as well. Rubio looks great. It's kind of funny because after spring ball ends, this 6-week window from the end of spring ball until the start of June, we don't see these guys, and in the 6 weeks there's so many transitions, and even in a short amount of time you can see the work these guys are putting in with Lauren Lando. And guys like Gabriel Rubio look great. Like I mentioned, Jason Onye looks a little bit trimmer than what he did during spring camp. I'm trying to think of some of the other guys were there. A lot of younger guys were there, which was cool to see. Ethan Long, a freshman. So big hat tip to all those current Notre Dame players who I'm sure probably could have been doing better things on their Friday, but they were guiding everyone and helping a lot of the players during the camp. And I know that actually stuck out to some of the recruits. I talked to some guys afterwards, and they really appreciated getting not only coached up by the Notre Dame coaching staff, but also some of the players as well. And just touching a little bit further on the sights and sounds story that Tyler Horka did, just some of what we saw besides the participants and the actual structure of the camp. A lot of, I don't want to say celebrities. In the past, we've seen Kirk Herbstreit there because his son was a quarterback. Other guys as well, but it was pretty cool to see Jason Witten there, former NFL tight end with the Cowboys, and I think he spent a couple years with the Raiders. He's the head coach of Liberty Christian down in Texas. His son, Cooper Witten, number 1 linebacker in the 27 class. He was at Notre Dame on Friday. He did not camp, but Cooper and Jason made it. And by the way, Cooper looks like $1 million. He's going to be a 5-star in the 27 class. I think Notre Dame's pretty well positioned there right now. They're gonna have to hold on once Tennessee gets involved and turns up the heat. They'll be one to watch with, the Elder Witten going there. I know he recently camped at Clemson and earned an offer. Witten, that is. So I mean, got a hat tip to the Tigers. I mean, they recruit defenses as well as anyone, so they'll be one to watch for Cooper. But also, touching on my a little bit from the sights and sound of Irish Invasion, was general manager of the New York Giants. Joe Schoen was there. His son, 2029 quarterback or 2028 quarterback Carson Schoen was there. He goes to Don Bosco Prep, which is one of the top high schools in the Northeast there in New Jersey. Don Bosco Prep showed out really well. Phoenix Evans, who Mike touched on earlier, was there at the camp. So it was pretty cool. We saw Marcus Freeman spending time with Joe Schoen, so that was ironic. Never know where those guys pass. Will cross in the future, but yeah, pretty cool to see that guys like Jason Witten and Joe Schoen take the time out of their days, both family guys, and both those guys, I'm sure, super busy, have other obligations, but they spend some time with their families at Irish Invasion. So I'm looking at some of the questions here. Kyle's breakouts. What's this all about? Kyle's breakouts for top 2 rotation next year. Eric, you might have to clarify, but I'm happy to answer that question. Yeah, feel free to clarify just what you mean by that. I would love to answer that for you. But we also got a comment about Malachi Ziegler. I'm not sure how much Mike got to touch on the quarterbacks at the show, the start of the show, but Malachi Ziegler is a honestly elite quarterback recruit out of Louisiana. He performed at the camp, and as I mentioned earlier on, Mike Singer was focusing on the offense. I was focusing on the defense, so I pretty much didn't see any of the quarterbacks, unfortunately. But I talked to Malachi Ziegler afterward. Good size. He wants that Notre Dame offer. I mean, to make that trip twice up to campus within the last 3 months, that's a pretty big deal. And I asked him, I was like, a quarterback from Louisiana, where I'm not sure what the quarterback recruiting in Louisiana looks like, but I just know quarterback recruiting in the South in general, and I don't even have evidence to support it. And I told Malachi the same thing, but I'm like, you probably don't see a whole lot of quarterbacks from the South going up north, but Malachi Ziegler did that and to compete for a Notre Dame offer. Irish, if they do get involved, they're going to be a big player, but they can't hang on forever here. I think if Notre Dame does offer, they'll skyrocket towards the top of their list. And I know the 2027 quarterback conversation has become I don't want to know if it's controversy, probably hot topic is a better way to phrase it, because I know everyone is a little bit uneasy about Notre Dame not offering any 2027 quarterbacks in the cycle. Christopher Murphy actually asked, most likely quarterback from this weekend end up at Notre Dame. I don't know about which quarterbacks are most likely to end up at Notre Dame, but in terms of quarterback most likely to get an offer, probably what you guys don't want to hear. Not a 2027 guy, but 2028 quarterback Travion Towns from Oak Christian, same school that produced Jimmy Clausen. From everything I heard, I'll have to ask Mike for sure because he was watching the quarterbacks, but I think he was a top performer at the camp. So I think in the 28 cycle, Travion Towns will be one to watch. I know Donald Tabron from Detroit Cass Tech is a really talented player. I don't know if he'll end up being the next Dante Moore out of Detroit, but I think he has that type of potential to be a highly rated guy. And please, Notre Dame fans, do not, cringe or get upset with Dante Moore because the Donald Tabron, Dante Moore comparison. But yeah, I think Donald Tabron has some early interest in Notre Dame. He's got a bunch of early offers from Power Four programs. Just going to check the chat here. Thanks for joining us. I mean, this is pretty cool. I mean, we're at 8:50 on a Sunday night, 322 viewers. I know the NBA finals are happening. I wonder what's going on with that game. Let me check the score because I'm sure we got some Pacers fans in the chat. All right, 42-27 Thunder. About 7 minutes left in the second quarter. But hey, as we learned last game, I don't think you can count out Pacers. I mean, they literally trailed the entire game, and then they didn't with 0.3 seconds left. I think, who was it? Tyrese Halliburton again. That guy. I was at the Cavs game 2 of the Eastern Conference semis. Had pretty good seats, thankfully. My dad got the hook up there, but we saw Tyrese Halliburton nail that game winner against the Cavs right in front of us. And it was just like, I was so unfazed. As a Cleveland sports fan, you just get used to it. The heartbreak, the heartache. I mean, I know some of the older generation have had it harder than me, with the drive, the fumble. But Indians, they lost 3-1 in the 2016 World Series. I know that was a bad memory, a little bit more recent, but just going back to the chat here, see what everyone is talking about. Yeah, not a lot of Southern quarterbacks go up north. I don't think so. I mean, Notre Dame tried that with Deuce Knight. I mean, Notre Dame did a lot. I don't know if we've talked about on this show or even at Blue and Gold, like how much Notre Dame invested in Deuce Knight. I mean, they went above and beyond to keep him in the class. He spent pretty much the whole month of June up on campus last year. And Deuce, he actually participated in last year's Irish Invasion. And I remember actually seeing Deuce before the camp, and I was just watching him pretty closely just to see how he was interacting with everyone because I wanted to catch the vibes there. And I remember seeing it, and I had always been skeptical that Deuce Knight was going to sign with Notre Dame. I was like, there's no way a Mississippi kid's going to sign with Notre Dame. But I came away from that camp thinking that Deuce was going to sign with Notre Dame. His connections with Gino Guidugli were unbelievable. With Riley Leonard were really impressive. Riley spent time with Deuce in the spring. And I felt strongly that Notre Dame was actually going to pull off that recruiting win and get him in the class. I mean, they just went truly above and beyond for him, but unfortunately didn't work out. So yeah, I mean, you got to be cautious when recruiting quarterbacks from the South. That's why partly my guy in the 27 class, and I think Mike feels the same way, is Israel Abrams from I think Lombard, Illinois, technically, Chicagoland area, Montini Catholic, top 100 recruit. I saw him at the Under Armour camp. Dog is getting ready to bark here, so please be aware of that. But I saw Abrams at the Under Armour camp a couple weeks ago, and everybody was raving about Abrams' performance. I felt he was outstanding as well, and I wrote after the camp that Notre Dame should be Abrams should be one of the top recruits, or Abrams should be one of the recruits from that camp that Notre Dame should offer. So Gino Guidugli went out to his school during the spring, evaluated him, watched him throw. Then Abrams unofficially visited Notre Dame on Thursday. Thursday. So the day before Irish Invasion. Unfortunately, did not compete at Irish Invasion. That would have been awesome to see him throw because really talented quarterback. To see him let it rip would have been, I think he probably would have been top performer and probably walked away with Notre Dame offer, to be honest. But I know the conversations are ongoing in the Goog about who they want to offer in the 27th cycle at quarterback. But like I said, I think Israel Abrams is my guy. Top 100 guy. I know if you don't like On3's rankings, close your ears. I personally think On3 does a hell of a job, but Charles Power actually I think ranks him higher than the rest of the industry right now. So that'll be one to watch. See, we have a comment here that Houston just posted his Clemson offer. I wonder if we're talking about Peyton Houston, the 2027 quarterback. I think USC is really going to go all in on him. Peyton Houston's a guy that Notre Dame has been evaluating pretty closely. Yeah, here we go. Israel Abrams, Rydan 42. Yeah, thanks for the shout out. I'm going to bring up his on3 profile. I'm not going to be able to share the screen like Mike just because I don't have my second monitor set up. But okay, yeah. Charles Powers considers him the number 6 quarterback in the country. Actually, 24/7 Sports has him as a number 5 signal caller. Some of the schools already involved are Iowa State, Minnesota, Northwestern, Purdue, Wisconsin, Ole Miss, Mississippi State.
Can we get a round of applause for Kyle Kelly?
Oh, boy. You surprised me. But
can we get a freaking round of applause for Kyle Kelly, who just, for his first time, freeballed it? Kyle,
can we talk about Israel Abrams, man? That's what I was getting ready to talk about.
No. I need everyone in the chat to put. There's a little emoji for hand clapping. Can everyone in the chat type it in? I mean, we've got 300 people watching. Kyle just went 14 minutes. It's first time doing that, by the way. He's never, at least for here, he's never been live. Yeah, my phone call was 14 minutes and like 30 seconds. I'm not seeing hand clapping yet. Kyle, what'd you talk about? Did I miss anything good?
That was a definition of rambling. I'm not a good monologuer like our boy JD Pickell, but I talked about the sights and sounds at the camp. Jason Witten, Joe Schoen there. A little bit about 27 quarterback recruiting. You are 100% our lead on that and know way more about it than me, but I was just commenting on Ziegler, being at the camp and Israel Abrams. And we were just talking about getting quarterbacks up from the South, how big of a challenge that can be. I think that was pretty much it. I probably should have talked a little bit more about what I actually watched at Irish Invasion, but I felt like I did that early in the show.
My Israel Abrams story it's almost done, but I will be publishing a story on Israel Abrams. I do like seeing the chat. I added the chat to the show. You guys can see it under Kyle. I don't know.
I thought this entire time that was like a bug or something that was supposed to be there.
I can turn it off and on. I don't know. I kind of like it.
Oh, it's a beta thing.
Yeah, it's a beta thing. But yeah, tip of the hat to Kyle Kelly. Thank you so much. I was like thinking out this person was going to call me during the show, and they sure did. So, but your boy's got some intel for the Gold Standard tomorrow. So, it's always nice.
Give us a snippet. Give us something to gnaw
on. Taj Gray. It's one of those linebackers. I don't think we talked about him yet.
No, we should have.
Yeah. Dog. Notre Dame sources absolutely loved Taj Gray. There's just a little snippet.
And they offered his brother, Chaz Gray. So don't quote me on this, but I actually think they spent the weekend up in South Bend.
Speaking of being in South Bend, Richie Flanagan's coming to campus.
Sam Lejeune.
Yeah, Richie's moving in his brother.
Here's the other one. This got tweeted out before the show. Tavares Harrington from Chicago Mount Carmel, one of the best defensive backs in the 27 class. No, Notre Dame already offered him in the spring, but he's going to be at campus tomorrow.
So they have an evaluation camp tomorrow, and we hopefully will be doing some more reporting on that. Give me 1 second.
Real quick, I was talking about that Under Armour camp earlier, how Israel Abrams was one of the top quarterbacks there. That Tavares Harrington.
Did you get video from him?
No, because I didn't really know much about him, but now I do. Believe me.
Is it crazy that you had this highly? Let me pull up Israel Abrams' profile. You have this highly rated and it's just one data point, the rankings, right? But like, you had this kid in your backyard, and Notre Dame just started talking to him in May. A Chicago kid from Montini Catholic.
I wrote in April that they should get to
Yeah,
know him.
and
So
they did. And all right, here's a little snippet from you from that story. I asked him kind of for his reaction about starting to get recruited from Notre Dame. Quote, I would have never expected in a million years that I'd be in a position to be on the phone with Notre Dame. That kid is very excited about it. 6'4", 180-pound rising junior who has already won a state championship. All right, let me just say something real quick as we just hit an hour. This show has not been one of our more buttoned up. You know what, actually? I just unbuttoned a button because this show has not been buttoned up. This is a little bit more, laid back, a little bit more chill, a little bit more conversational than our 1 p.m. Friday recruiting show, which Kyle,
that's gonna
based
be
on
the upcoming one's gonna be a banger.
it will be. But our live viewership tonight, competing with the NBA Finals, has been outstanding. People are wanting the Irish Invasion discussion. All right, Kyle, I have 4 videos. This was what I was going to do before I had to take that phone call of just some specific players from Irish Invasion. And I hope the video doesn't come up choppy. But this first one was Malachi Ziegler, who I'm sure you talked about. 6'3", 195 pounds. Just about every Notre Dame source was raving about him. I really hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but CJ Carr walked up to me real quick. There's memes on, the comments about how I don't like CJ Carr because he forced out Steve Angeli. Maybe some of you have seen those comments. That's what people were saying on Always Irish's show. CJ walked by me. Mike, what's going on? Daps me up, one of those little bro hugs. Hoping I'll get in trouble for this. CJ Carr was so happy to see me. He's just a great kid. CJ's the best. And I asked him who he thought was looking. This was pretty early in the camp. I was like, which ones you like? And he said 1 and 2. Here's number 1. This is Malachi. He was like, dude, he really liked Malachi. It was just like a, 15-second interaction. But Malachi Ziegler, impressed potentially one of his future teammates. 6'3", 195 pounds from Benton, Louisiana. Kyle, after we're done with this, I want to hear from you real quick because you interviewed him. I wrote the story, but you interviewed him and seemed like, and when I listened to the interview and wrote it up, like this kid wants Notre Dame. He fits Notre Dame. Like, yeah, he's from Benton, Louisiana. But, dude, Notre Dame can go into any state and land a prospect. Like, there's just no doubt about it. And Ziegler had a really good day. It's difficult. Like, and when we're at these camps, like, do you see this video? That look there? Like, it's hard to see which quarterback is going up at times. So I'll often video the wide receiver and DB and not the quarterback. So I don't have video of Ziegler in the one-on-ones because my focus is on the receiver DB. A lot of times, like, there's only like 6 or 7 quarterbacks like on the knee in front of them. When it's one-on-one time, there's more like 12 and they're standing up. So you can't even see who's throwing sometimes. But Ziegler did have a really nice day in the one-on-one. So before I move on to the other quarterback that CJ Carr really liked, and I did as well as many other sources, what do you think about your conversation with Ziegler?
I already kind of touched on it, but he wants that Notre Dame offer.
Version.
Yeah, I mean, he wants that Notre Dame offer. There's no doubt about it, but he can't wait forever. And I think the one thing I remember him telling us, it was like, even if it doesn't work out and they don't offer, like, he's still incredibly grateful for the experience, and he's not going to be a sore loser, super bummed. Well, I mean, it's obviously going to hurt if he doesn't end up getting that Notre Dame offer, but I just know he's been really appreciative of Notre Dame's efforts and
that was cool.
The time he spent on campus.
Yeah, he talked about Gino and how Gino came by to see him before he had an offer. and that's Notre Dame coming down to a public school in Louisiana. Like that was pretty cool. Malachi Ziegler is just rude. Look, I'm human, okay? I'm human. I'm rooting for the kid to get an offer. I would love to see him at Notre Dame. From a selfish standpoint, I would also love to see Israel Abrams at Notre Dame. That kid's really special. Teddy Gerard, who also visited during the week, I think highly of him. Like, everyone's like, oh, Notre Dame, they're taking too long to offer a quarterback. It's hurting me. Listen, hold your complaints to see who they land. If they land some 2-star from Idaho, get pissed. But if they land Israel Abrams or Malachi Ziegler or Teddy Gerard or Kareem Hewley from Georgia or Peyton Houston from Louisiana, like, come on. Kids are ballers, man. Ballers. All right. Speaking of ballers. So this kid, Neiman Lawrence, Miami Northwest, we're talking about him at the top of the show. Tremendous looking prospects. Rising sophomore, Kyle. Rising sophomore. A really nice day. Looked good in drills, the build. Yeah, had some absolute dimes. I showed the one earlier where he delivered that dime to Bryson Thompson, which is also on this feed. Great day. And I interviewed him after. The story will be at Blue and Gold tomorrow. Like, I was like, okay. This kid's like talking about the values of Notre Dame. And Kyle, I always end. You guys can see Noah Grubbs in the back of that video, by the way. I think Noah Grubbs was just hanging out. That was pretty cool. I always will end an interview when I'm talking to a prospect with, is there anything else that you'd want to talk about? Anything else I didn't ask you? And he said, man, I just really love the values of this place. And when you hear a kid say that, it's like, all right. All right. Miami Northwestern.
Notre Dame's next 2 quarterbacks are going to come from Bent, Louisiana and Miami, Florida.
I mean, I guess it's possible. It's not probable. I mean, this kid's got every offer under the sun, but this was the dime to Bryson Thompson, who had a really good day, by the way. I think that. Oh, I got a little bit more of this video. Oh, here's just another dime. Oh, that was just on air though. So yeah, that was Neiman Lawrence. Here's another little nugget. Like, dude, talking to sources on the Notre Dame side of things, so fired up about how Irish Invasion went. There's people behind the scenes in the Notre Dame football program that just, dude, absolutely bust their ass on the recruiting front, and they're a big reason why these top underclassmen made it to South Bend. You know, these kids, I mean, they're in their 20s, but you know, these young men and women don't get the maybe the recognition they deserve, but just tremendous. Doing a tremendous job. I want to plug our website real quick. If you like what we're talking about, maybe you're new to this YouTube channel and you'd like following Notre Dame recruiting and, of course, Notre Dame football, the actual team, you're going to want to go to blueandgold.com. Okay. We have so many articles, got a countdown to the season, interviews, intel. I wrote a really neat final thoughts and takeaways column, kind of reflecting on that Notre Dame's Irish Invasion camp. I mean, just so much. Kyle had a tremendous recruit reaction article, the quarterback intel, who are the other names to know from camp, top performer. I mean, great content. And also, let me plug our magazine. This is what you're going to do. BlueGoldOnline.com. We're not ending the show either, by the way, guys. This is just quick shout out.
I'm starving for what it's worth.
You go eat. I
mean, we are pretty casual tonight, so
I know I'm hungry for second dinner. The Notre Dame 2025 football preview. Now we passed the free shipping, but I promise, just get this, okay? Just pick it up. 160 pages, full color, glossy magazine covering the Fighting Irish football team. I wrote a couple features. I know Kyle did. Of course, Jack and Tyler wrote a ton. So in-depth analysis of each position group, player feature, some exclusive content. Like, get it. It is going to be worth every penny. You are going to spend hours reading this thing, like hours in this, and it's going to be worth your time. So please go to bluegoldonline.com If you pick it up, tweet me. Tweet it in your hand when you get it in July. Tweet at Mike T. Singer, your magazine in your hands. I'll retweet it. All right. If you have any questions, you can DM me on Twitter. Answer any questions you got. You can also call our customer service 800-421-7751 during the business hours posted here if you have any questions about the magazine. All right, cool. Quentin Burrell. Want to talk about him a little bit more? He was the receiver group I wasn't expecting a lot from, and then they delivered, and then some. Burrell was the big name coming in. He's still the only receiver from that group who holds an offer from the Irish, but several others stood out. I wrote about this at Blue and Gold. There was a kid from Fort Wayne, Northrop, Maddox Wheel. Are you familiar with this kid, Kyle?
28 kid.
Bro, disgusting. And I didn't know a lot of these kids. I didn't know who they were, right? And then I write about him. I'm thinking I might be writing about some under the radar kid from Fort Wayne. No, guy's got national offers already. Penn State, Miami. But yeah, Quentin Burrell thought had an awesome day. Mentioned this earlier. Might lack like the top end speed to make him like a 5-star, but pretty clean route runner. Catches the ball with his hands. Very smooth, very easy. Solid size. Like this kid looks like he should be playing at Notre Dame. Thought he had a nice day. Got a lot of attention from Mike Brown. And then there was a one-on-one rep that he won. It better be on this video. This was the one we saw earlier where he wins twice in a route. He breaks off the line, and then on the curl route. I mean, that's hard to do as a receiver when you run past someone and then need to break back in front of them and still get open. It's not easy to do. And then this was the snag. That was a heck of a grab and contested coverage. That's Dom Spalding, wide receiver analyst who works with Mike Brown, congratulating him on the nice play. And then lastly, I talked about this kid earlier. Oh, did we already watch the Seneca Driver film? I don't think so.
Some of it.
I think I'd maybe just put on one clip, but yeah, Seneca Driver was just simply a baller. I mean, just made so many plays. Notre Dame is so fired up about, not great video work there, Kyle. So fired up about Seneca Driver and Jack Brown and Jackson Dollar and Titus Hawk. And then even Grant Haviland, who was there but did not get to participate in this event I mentioned earlier. He had a foot thing that was bothering him. So, yeah. Well, short in route. In and up. He drops this pass. It was kind of a tough grab over the shoulder, but I wanted to include this in this video just because that was such a nice route. And like just the striding downfield, these long strides and long legs, like he's like a gazelle, like running like a gazelle. Just looks pretty with it.
That was the catch that I saw. I was all right, this dude's legit.
Yeah. Seneca Driver had a great day. And then Jackson Dollar was awesome. Like it was such a great camp, dude. I was really impressed. So if you're just tuning in, rewind, watch the beginning of the show. Kyle, do you have anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
I was talking during my little segment there about the Oaks Christian quarterback, Trevion Towns. Did you watch much of him?
Yeah, big
dude, right? Like Cam Newton, like Jamarcus Russell, like
big dude.
Big dude.
Yeah, liked him. Thought maybe some of his, just in my opinion, some of his mechanics could use like some cleaned up. Like when I think like clean mechanic, like I kind of use CJ Carr as the gold standard for that. Like CJ going same camp when he was going into his junior year. I guess Towns would have been going into his sophomore year, so there's a year difference. But just CJ was just so clean mechanically, so everything was just so pretty for me, in my opinion.
You should have saw him. You should have saw CJ at the Elite 11 regional.
Very pretty.
He tore it up.
Yeah. So it's not like a knock. Towns had a great day. My sources raving about him. I included him as, one of the top quarterbacks of the event, and that wasn't an intel piece. That's not even like Mike Singer's opinion. That is opinions from those who matter a little bit more than Mike. Just say that. And yeah, he definitely impressed the Notre Dame staff. So You got to talk to him.
I didn't, but he was
You talked to the media.
he
Yeah,
was made available to the media.
yeah, I got
Or
you.
not necessarily. I mean, after
I
his
know.
visit, he
Yeah.
came and met with us.
So I know he spoke very highly about Notre Dame, and we will have that story. Cal, maybe remind me later. I'll write that up this week. So
you got a lot of stuff to write up and a lot of
dude,
stuff to preview. This
yeah,
week, these next 10 days are not for the faint of heart.
yeah. And
Heck,
then
the
Kyle,
next
we
20 days. But
what we didn't have on our radar really was this camp on Monday. Brady Quinn is going to be there. And when I said Brady Quinn, you just thought about the Notre Dame quarterback from 20 years ago. No, the 2028 quarterback, who just happens to have the same name as the Notre Dame legend. He was named after Brady Quinn, though. I wrote about that when Quinn visited in the spring. It's a pretty cool story. But yeah, there's a 2026 offensive lineman who Notre Dame is hosting who could be interesting. Yeah, so might be reporting more on that. We won't have boots on the ground there. I don't think any media will be there, but I think at Blue and Gold will be reporting about that. So that's another thing that will keep at least me busy. And yeah, dude, we're kind of like going to be putting the finishing. I mean, we'll probably be writing about Irish Invasion for the next month. I mean, there's so many interviews, so much content to do. But yeah, I mean, probably once we get past like Tuesday, it's full focus on previewing this weekend. And yeah, balls will be to the wall writing about that. Notre Dame's going to have 20 official visitors or so. Going to be a star-studded weekend in South Bend. Really, really appreciate what a fantastic group watching tonight's show. Chat was flying. It was bumpy. You know, we had a button down. You know, we were a little loose with it tonight, but I thought it was a lot of fun. Great information. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you guys hit that thumbs up. If you're watching this back on YouTube, thank you so much. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you were thinking about some of the recruits and some of the things we were saying. Really just appreciate you guys. We will be live next on Tuesday. I should be recording a video with Darren Pritchett tomorrow. So just more. Lock into this recruiting lock into this YouTube channel for so much more on Notre Dame football and recruiting. I'll have the Six Pack Show on Tuesday. I'll be live with Tim on Wednesday, and then Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't join me and Kyle live, it's fine. Watch the replay. You're going to want to lock into that show ahead of a massive official visit weekend for the Irish. Again, appreciate you all for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up, and as always, we'll catch you next time.